What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to NFL Turf Talk live here on DSM Media's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter accounts. If you guys are new to the channel, head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button. We greatly appreciate it. And while you're on the page, head on over to the link tree. It's in our bio to take you to every social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to be interactive throughout the show tonight, head on over to the YouTube channel specifically. That's where we can pull up your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, and the show is always more fun with you guys getting involved with it. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, do whatever you got to do. We greatly appreciate it. I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter @DylanJD98. To my left, my faithful co-host, Scotty. You can find him on Twitter as well, @ScottyDrown. Happy Thursday. What's going on, brother?
Hey, like you said, happy Thursday, man. And I'm happy to see Week 11 come back around because obviously, as an Eagles fan, I'm eager to see them get back on the field and, reclaim their throne here that they may have or may not have lost, depending on who you talk to. But, I'm happy another week of NFL football is back and we get to break it down. This Thursday night matchup isn't too bad.
One of the better ones, in recent memory.
Has some meaning behind it.
But I will say this before we get into everything tonight, because we do have a pretty packed show for you guys. We're going to talk about the Eagles adding some defensive line depth with two, I would say, pretty big defensive tackle signings late in the season here. We have our updated power rankings to get into, and we'll also be breaking down this Thursday night football matchup between the Packers and the Titans. But, dude, Week 11, it happens every year. We know this, but how quick does football season go by? Like we wait all season and all summer for week one, and there's so much anticipation, and you blink and it's already week 11, like Thursday night football. Before I was ready to watch like the Falcons and the Jags play just to get football back. And now I'm like, is this matchup worth it? But tonight's is, you are right. But let's start with the Eagles. Howie Roseman obviously identifying a major problem, that being the run defense and that being some injuries along the interior of this defensive line. Jordan Davis still expected to be out the next 2 or 3 games. Marlon Tuipulotu is now out as well in the middle of that defensive line. You heard Fletcher Cox come out and basically say, hey, man, I feel like shit at this stage of my career. I'm playing more than I ever have before. I think he had like an all-time snap count last week, and him and Javon Hargrave played a ton, and basically said his body feels like shit, but you got to do what it takes to win a football game. So Howie addresses and identifies those weaknesses, and what's he do yesterday? He goes out and brings in defensive tackle Suh Joseph from the Chargers last year. We also remember him picking off Carson Wentz as a Viking and taking it to the house, the 300-pounder. And then also Super Bowl champ Ndamukong Suh, coming off a 6-sack year. That should not be understated, Scotty. So I want to get your thoughts on these 6-sack
years.
Yeah.
Back to back.
I want to get your thoughts on these two signings. Obviously, the Suh name pops more than the Joseph name, but both are going to help, and I think in different ways. Both are going to help with the run defense, but that's more so what Suh Joseph was brought in for. I think Suh was also brought in to kind of be a disruptor. He's coming off back-to-back 6-sack seasons, as you just stated, and also it's not just a run defense that was struggling for the Eagles front on Monday night, Scotty. It was also their inability to just create negative plays, get in the backfield, be disruptive. He does that, and hopefully he can still do that at a high level. What are your thoughts on these two signings?
So where I'll start is just specifically with Howie Roseman and kind of with this signals, right? What he's done this season, bringing in all the talent that he has, and I think these two signings even further this standpoint. But Howie Roseman feels like they can win it all this season, and I know we've all kind of came around to that conclusion at this point by week 10 when your team is 8-0, right? We have a good chance to win the Super Bowl, but Howie Roseman fully believes that, and he's going to send it every single time he can make this team better. And it makes me appreciative of Howie Roseman. I said it in the DSM chat earlier today, where it's not just that I forgive Howie Roseman for like the drafting woes, the bad contracts to the Super Bowl winners, but I absolutely love this guy. Like, I'm in love with Howie Roseman. Like, it's not just
span, man.
It's not just like, oh, you've made up for your mistakes. Right. Howie, I absolutely fucking love what you've done for this team and what you are willing to do for this team. And I love the leash that Jeff Lurie gives Howie Roseman to go out and make these things happen. But specifically these two signings, Suh Joseph and Ndamukong Suh, he saw the weakness in that game against Washington, and a bunch of people, whether it's TikTok, Twitter, have came out and tried to say that the Washington Commanders found or exposed the Philadelphia Eagles' weakness. If you believe that, so be it, right? They exposed it with 3.1 yards per carry, sure. That's fine. But Howie Roseman said, "Hold my tea here," right? And goes out and grabs two guys that should directly help with exactly what you said: run defense and rushing the passer. But on top of that, and Ndamukong Suh specifically, I don't know as much about Linval Joseph, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Ndamukong Suh brings that mentality, similar to what we talk about with CGJ, versus like a Darius Slay, where Slay kind of plays around a little bit.
And Suh have a good friendship as well.
Yes, they both played on Detroit, both originally drafted by Detroit and went through the dog years together there. So they have that connection. And what I look at, as far as Suh, to the people, kind of saying, why are these guys still sitting around? I'd imagine it's because they're looking for the right team to fit into, right? That, especially in Ndamukong Suh coming off a 6-sack season. But I love the personality, the experience, the leadership, you could say, that Ndamukong Suh brings. And he just brings a nastiness to this defensive line, even more than what they already have. He's going to fit right in with Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, getting sacks and celebrating all the nasty stuff that defensive line gets into throughout the game. And it should only make them better. It's very low risk here, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And that's been the biggest, I don't want to use the word pushback, but I guess question mark that I've seen a lot on social media. And that is, well, why are they still available? Do they have anything left in the tank? Because why are they still available in week 11? And I think it kind of translates to your point. I think both of these guys have been around a while. If you're expecting, all pro and Ndamukong Suh,
right,
I think you're mistaken there. If you're expecting Linval Joseph to kind of be a pass rusher or do other things, that's not what you're going to get. Yeah. He's going to do a lot of the little things in the minimal amount of snap counts he probably sees. But I think it goes back to your point. These guys are both very comfortable with their time played. They know they still have something left in the tank, but they weren't eager to just play for anybody, right? Like Linval Joseph's not going to sign, with the Texans just to play football.
Right.
Ndamukong Suh, vice versa. So when a contender, when an 8-1 team comes and says, I don't know what the offer was, but here's $1.5 million, here's 1.5, come play for 7 weeks and let's try to win another championship. Yeah, sign me up.
10, 15 snaps a game. We're not going to overuse you. We're not going to get you in a situation where you're going to get hurt. You're just going to be a plug for us. And
exactly. And
that's all we need right now.
Like, dude, you go back to this, man. Fletcher Cox playing 70% of the snaps on Monday night. And listen, I know there's injuries, but that's just another piece of Jonathan Gannon that has to get fixed up. He plays 70%. Javon Hargrave plays 66%. And I know they're different positions. One's an edge, one's a defensive tackle. But you go back to newly acquired Robert Quinn, and he plays 27%, Scotty.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, Fletcher Cox played 70 snaps. He played 84% of the snaps. Hargrave played 66 snaps, 80% of the snaps.
And when you're Robert doing that,
played 27%. And
you're
that's
risking
a problem.
Fletcher Cox' health there. Yeah, you're risking his health there, and then you lose a starter. People are blowing up
social media like Fletch can walk, Fletch is washed. Yeah, Fletcher Cox, it's the same thing when Ndamukong Suh. Fletcher Cox is not the same Fletcher Cox as 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Right.
But no wonder the dude looks even more exposed, more gassed, more undisciplined out there when he's playing 84% of the snaps. Exactly. He can't do it at this point of his career. So that falls on Jonathan Gannon, but that brings it to why these two additions were so big. Who knows what you're going to get from either, but they're both worth the risk.
Yeah.
It's low risk, high reward situations for both of them.
And I think, it's going to be minimal what they're asked to do, right?
And you get Jordan Davis back in 2 or 3 weeks. So it's not the remainder of the season.
So whatever comes of that when Jordan Davis returns, if one of them is cut, I would imagine it would be Linval Joseph if they were going to cut anybody down the line. Maybe neither, though. Like you said, maybe we could use the depth. Quite honestly, we could use the experience as well. And, they're going to be asked to fill minimal roles. I know there was some talking to DSM chat about Milton Williams, kind of what he's shown. I get that. He's a young guy. He has shown a little bit of promise. But at the end of the day, he was part of that run defense that was getting ran through against the Texans, against the Commanders. 100%. So you had to make some improvements.
And I understand you have to have to find a balance between progressing younger talent and winning. But at the end of the day, I'm more interested in winning a Super Bowl and a playoff run than I am watching
Absolutely.
Milton Williams progress as a defensive tackle. So he'll
Absolutely.
still be in the rotation. He'll still have a role. But I'm like, if Suh or Joseph or both can help push this thing further along, and I think ultimately it comes back to what you said in the very beginning of your statement was this is an all-in move. This is a Super Bowl bound move that Howie Roseman is making here, because you look at a team like Dallas, right?
Yeah.
For instance, that I see a lot of the ESPN, the national guys talking about and kind of complaining about the fact that, hey man, like
They sit on their hands.
they didn't do much in the offseason while the Eagles improved. And now you're looking, okay, they're kind of even. The Eagles are better. But like, Dallas could give them a run for
they
their
have a
money
good
in the
chance.
playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And they don't go out and sign OBJ like
They
everyone
go get
wants.
Antonio.
They bring in Antonio Callaway. They were linked to Ndamukong Suh. The Eagles signed Ndamukong
It's
Suh.
just so Cowboys, man. That's so Cowboys.
Like it's an all-in move in terms of, hey, I see what's going on in the NFC. There's an opening here, and let's go bolster our team and fix the holes that we have.
And that's exactly what I meant, when we kicked off this segment about just appreciating Howie and his aggressiveness, because there's just a bunch of GMs out there just sitting on their hands while their team has a legitimate chance at winning a Super Bowl or contention, right? A legitimate chance at contention. You look at a Chargers team, for instance, that struggled against the run. Linville Joseph used to play for the Chargers. Why didn't they go out and make a move and grab a guy like that to, kind of stimulate their interior defensive line? But I love being an Eagles fan, man. I love having Howie Roseman as my GM every single time that's why people get like so upset when Eagles fans are like clamoring when somebody becomes available, because we legitimately, it's not just a fallacy that we sit here and we're like, oh, go get, AJ Brown or go get Devontae Adams. Howie Roseman will literally go and do it if it's feasible. So that's why we get so wound up every time somebody becomes available, because we are easily right there in the mix every single time a good player becomes available. It's lovely to be a fan of a team that's willing to do that.
Yeah, no, it's a big move. And I think the Suh move came as an even more surprise when the Joseph news breaks yesterday. And it's like, okay, I see what he's doing. He's trying to identify that. And obviously I saw the Marlon Tuipulotu injury come out after that. So they had another roster spot to fill. But once I saw the rumors of their engagement talks with Suh, I'm like, wow. All right, Howie. Like I've never seen him invest that much into a weakness. Like normally we've seen the linebackers be an issue and they don't address the weakness. We've seen CB2 be an issue. They don't address the weakness. Wide receivers an issue. They don't address the weakness. And now he's just pushing all his chips to the middle of the table.
Maybe they go get Gronk next. Maybe that's the next move.
Right.
I'm just playing. But
yeah, no, I would say that the Eagles are probably done making moves, and the only move they really need to make at this point for me. Listen, I would love another pass catching tight end to walk through the door. It's not happening. So you're rolling with Stoll, Calcaterra, and Tyree Jackson was activated. So they were high on him before the injury or before the injuries, man. So we'll see what he can do.
It's an athletic specimen.
And all that leaves is kick returning and punt returning. So
yeah, they got to figure that out. I said something. Phil made a post about this, or maybe retweeted an article or something regarding like Quez, AJ Brown, Devontae working with the kick return. I'm not putting AJ or Smitty back there. No. You don't need to do that, especially with Goddard out. But I am putting Quez back there, man. We got to get the ball in his hands a little bit more.
Boston
maybe
Scott's
if that's
done it before. Boston Scott's another good option. Last time he did it, he averaged. I saw the numbers earlier. He averaged like over 16 plus yards per return. Britton Covey's averaging just over 6 yards per return.
Yeah, we got to stop that. It's only a matter of time before he fumbles and costs us a game.
First of all,
but
it's
on
only a
top
matter
of that,
of time
he's going to
before
get
his
injured.
body gets broken in half.
Broken in half, literally.
I actually have grown to kind of become amused by it, Scotty. Like he gets hit like a pinball.
How does he survive?
He gets hit like a pinball. Not once a game, Scotty. Every
time he returns,
he is hit
kick return,
brutally hard. Where he's
in like two different directions.
He's airborne. He's hit so hard. He brings nothing to the table. And
have you seen that?
That has to stop.
Have you seen that? It's a funny movie where I can't remember what movie it is, but the dude catches the ball in the end zone and he just gets sandwiched and like split literally in half. I can't remember what movie it is, but that's what it reminds me of, because he's getting hit like in two directions every return and he just gets like crushed and sandwiched.
Yeah,
it's bad. But I would throw Boston Scott, Quez Watkins, get the
Kenny
ball in an
Gainwell.
explosive player's hands, right? Give them a chance where they can actually break something. It just doesn't feel like he ever has an opportunity to break away. He's not that fast. He's safe with the ball to an extent.
Clearly, his
but
vision's all sorts of effed up because he can't find a running lane. He can't find a hole anywhere.
And he's getting smashed every time. He should be scared, quite honestly.
yeah.
But that is the one, you talk about weakness or a concern. The special teams is a little bit of a concern, not only with the returning, but also the opposing returners, the fielding teams. It seems like every single time the opposing team returns a kick or a punt, they get a good ass return. We get
let me ask you about a guy that's only playing special teams at the moment, because there's been a lot of people tweeting about him playing.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Nakobe Dean.
Yeah.
Obviously, we could talk about this more on Sunday on the pregame show, but thoughts on Nakobe Dean maybe getting a little more playing time this weekend. He's not a defensive tackle. He's not a defensive lineman, but one of his strengths coming out of Georgia was run stopping. Was his football IQ, was his presence on the football field and knowing where to be at all times. Is that something that can help the run game, even though he's seen the field minimal amount of times? And listen, I know in the beginning of the year when we were all clamoring for Nakobe Dean, it was difficult because Kaiser White and TJ Edwards are playing lights out, and technically Hassan Reddick's a linebacker playing that position too. Dude, I've been seeing Patrick Johnson getting playing time as a linebacker on this team. Kayvon Wallace gets snaps at safety. You're telling me these guys can find a place to get snaps, but Nakobe Dean can't find a place to get snaps?
Yeah, I just don't believe that. You know what I mean? There's no way that he shouldn't be getting, and he's not getting snaps on defense. But I would imagine, while I don't think it's something that will fix the run defense if you believe it needs fix, but it's worth a shot, right? To mix it up. The only thing I would say, well, I can't even say that. It's really just Jonathan Gannon. It's not really the fact of like how good the linebacker, like TJ Edwards and Kaiser White have been great, but usually you do have three linebackers on the field on a normal defense, right?
Reddick plays.
That's the problem, right? That's kind of the problem. That's kind of the problem, right? So you could throw Nakobe Dean out there as a third linebacker and run a more normal like 4-3 defense.
But I guess my question also though is like, to my point, if you can find time for Patrick effing Johnson to spare TJ Edwards or Kaiser White, why does he leapfrog Nakobe Dean? If Kaiser White or TJ Edwards is coming off the field for a couple snaps, Nakobe Dean needs to be the one inserted, in my opinion. Now, maybe we're totally missing something. Maybe Nakobe Dean, I don't know, but coming out of the draft, it wasn't us. We weren't the ones saying steal the draft. It was everybody. It was national. He was mocked to go top 20. The injury set him back, but he's healthy enough to play. I don't know what the issue is, but we'll see how much Nakobe Dean can get on the field in the weeks to come. Before we move on, the last thing I wanted to bring up to you, and I didn't catch this, but Gannon had a press conference today.
Yeah.
Did you notice that the Eagles only had 10 personnel on defense 2 times on Monday night?
No, I didn't.
I didn't notice it watching the game, and he was asked about it, and he, Gannon took it. Well, no shit, it's your fault. He goes, yeah, those were both on me. But like, think about that's how poor Monday night went and self-inflicted Monday night was. They had 10 personnel on the defensive side of the ball 2 different times.
Yeah,
that's embarrassing, man.
Yeah, that is quite embarrassing, especially when you're struggling. Yeah, when you're struggling with the things that they were struggling with, it just doesn't make sense, man.
Yeah,
I was thinking with Nakobe Dean for a second there. Maybe it's them trying to pigeonhole him into middle linebacker, and they just can't put him in over TJ. Like that's the only thing that I could think there with him as to why he gets 0 snaps.
That's what I'm saying, because you got to figure Nakobe Dean's a plan for the future, right? We all know how many guys are coming off the books this year, especially defensively, and TJ Edwards and Kaiser White are 2 of those guys. Now, we'll see what Howie can do, but you would have to imagine at least one of them, you would probably assume Kaiser White's walking after this year. So you get Nakobe Dean. I don't know, but then my point is, how does Patrick Johnson find the spot right now? Like, if you're trying to transition him into that, why is someone else leapfrogging him?
But isn't it
as a backup spot?
And that's what I mean. Like, is Patrick? I believe Patrick Johnson's one of those tweeners, right? Where he can play like safety and linebacker, and Kayvon Wallace similar in that sense. So maybe that's the idea for Jonathan Gannon, but those guys should not be getting PT over Nakobe
No,
Dean, in my opinion. I mean,
no,
you got
I
to give
agree.
the guy a chance. He played as a star in college. He wasn't just like a regular player on a good
On the
ass defense. He was a
on
star.
quite possibly the greatest college football defense the world has ever seen.
Exactly. Like, come on, and especially when you got Jordan, they got some chemistry there.
Yeah.
Let them get some field
So
time together.
moving on here, bring up a very interesting point, my friend.
Yeah.
Let's get to the updated Week 11 power rankings, brought to you by Gents Barber Lounge over here, Scotty. Let's see some mixing up going on right here. So let's see how many teams we have similar.
Whew.
So we have the top 6 are the same, just a little bit different order. We both have the Giants, both have the Cowboys, both have San Fran. Only difference is our number 10 team. You have the Tennessee Titans. I have the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are my 10th team last week. They're coming off a bye. They're getting a little bit more healthy, so I wasn't moving them out yet. But interesting nonetheless. Obviously, a difference at the top of our list. The Eagles' reign as number 1 for you was very short-lived. They are down to number 2.
It was bad luck.
I am sticking with. Wait a second. One of mine might be flipped, but I was just looking at something, but maybe not. Maybe I sent them in wrong. But go ahead. Talk to me about what switched in your top 10.
Yeah. So obviously the one in the 1 through 4 actually switched all around for me. So I have the Kansas City Chiefs up there at number 1 now. They were previously number 3 coming into the week. The Eagles are number 2 now, right? They were number 1 last week. I feel like that was like bad luck. That was my first week putting them at number 1, and then boom, they get their first loss of the season. So I don't know if that was just bad juju or not. But honestly, it's not anything like that as to why they moved down. Simply why I put the Chiefs up above the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles now have a coaching concern, in my opinion. And I say that very lightly because they are just number 2 in the entire NFL, right? That's where it moved them to. But I am slightly concerned with the coaching mechanisms here and the game plans that they're putting in place. Obviously, Jonathan Gannon has had his question marks with that defense, the 5-2 personnel, not running the right system for to fit his players. But the real concern came on the offensive end, not sticking to your identity, sticking to the run game. And so that was just enough a question mark for me to move the Eagles behind the Kansas City Chiefs, where Kansas City Chiefs, quite honestly, they have the best QB coach combo that you could ever ask for, maybe in the history of the NFL, but definitely in the NFL this season. And I'm riding with that. I trust the Chiefs a little bit more right now with that head coaching combo. Andy Reid is going to do the things that fits his team, makes his team the best. So that's the idea behind the Chiefs over the Eagles at number 1 and number 2. Vikings, I had to move past the Bills just after beating them.
So let me address.
Gotcha.
I should have caught this. This is not my top 10. It is, but the Bills and the Vikings are swapped. So
makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense. Makes sense.
My top 5 is Eagles, Chiefs, Vikings, Dolphins, Bills.
Fair enough. And it makes sense, right? The Vikings beat the Bills. Couldn't put the Vikings over the Eagles because they lost to the Eagles. So I kept them at number 3. It's arguable. You can literally argue the Eagles or the Vikings up over the Chiefs right now. I'll take that and I'll understand it. I'm just a little more confident in the Chiefs currently. The Bills arguably could go below the Dolphins. I didn't want to jump the gun here.
Yeah,
with 2 losses, the way Josh Allen's been playing lately, but very well could be below the Dolphins right now. And the Dolphins at number 5, I boosted them all the way up from number 10, so they moved up quite a good bit for me. But let's be honest, they're undefeated with Tua right now, and that's something to be known. They have the most explosive offense in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, and they've beaten the Bills, right? They've beaten the Bills. The Jets have beaten the Bills, and we're going to talk about that division in a little bit here. But got to give some respect to the Dolphins, to Tua. He's in that MVP combo. I think he has to be. But I'll stop right there at number 5 and kind of let you digress here.
So we have the same top 5, except I have the Dolphins pushed above the Bills at 4 and 5. Quite frankly, I can't move the Eagles off of number 1 just yet. Like I think that Monday night was so fluky and such a weird game and such a self-inflicted game with the turnovers, and you add in the penalties and everything like that. So I'm not ready to move them off of number 1, and they have the better record. The Chiefs have lost twice. The Eagles have only lost once so far this year. Nonetheless, at number 2, I do have the Chiefs. They're playing at the highest level possible. Patrick Mahomes, he's got to be the MVP right now, right?
Yeah.
He has to be. Josh Allen has worked himself out of the conversation as well as Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts is still performing at an incredibly high level, and the Eagles' motor is still running by him. But I just think Mahomes, the numbers, the winning, everything taking into consideration, he's got to be the MVP right now. They're playing much better on the defensive side. So I have the Chiefs at 2. I had the Vikings at 3, man. It's quite simple. You're 8-1. And they're coming off a really impressive win. And I know the teams aren't the same, but it was Washington the week before, and they came back down against Washington by 10 in the fourth quarter. So the Vikings are showing you that they're never out of a ball game. Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson being able to get it going on the same days is impressive to me. It's not one or the other. It's not one person's show. Dalvin Cook can run for 115 and a touchdown, and Jefferson can go for 185 and 2. Like, it doesn't matter. They can both get going. So I had the Vikings at 3. I had the Dolphins at 4 for the reasons you laid out, right? They had the head-to-head win over Buffalo. And I think early on in the season, with the seriousness of the Tua injury and how bad they looked having to go to the third string quarterback and almost the fourth string quarterback at one point, we got misconstrued with how good they are with Tua under center. They haven't lost a game that Tua has started and finished. And the numbers, quite frankly, are ridiculous. Tyreek Hill's putting up ridiculous numbers. Jalen Waddle, Tua, Tua's in the MVP conversation. He's probably 2 or 3 right now in that conversation. So they're 4, and then the Bills are 5. I'm not ready to drop them any lower than that yet. But they're on the cusp of they're on a free fall right now, and their quarterback's at the front of everything. So I'll stop there as well. But we have the same top 5 outside of I flipped the Bills and Dolphins with you.
Let me ask you this. You talk about MVP races. Is Justin Jefferson in that combo at all?
No, because Justin Jefferson took about 7 weeks off. He didn't score a touchdown for 6 or 7 straight weeks in the middle of the season. And quite frankly, he was very underperformed. So, like, I know how great he was last week, and I know how good he's been for the last 2 or so weeks. But MVP is a consistent thing for me, and it's not a 1 month thing. It's not a 2-game thing. It's your whole body of work. If he continues on this pace, he'll be in the conversation at the end of the year. But right now, no.
The only reason I asked that is because I know some people have mentioned like Tyreek Hill in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually outperforming Tyreek Hill on a totality standpoint. He's averaging 117 a game. He is second in receiving, but he's played 1 less game than Tyreek Hill. So it's an interesting combo. I do get what you mean, because he did kind of ghost a couple weeks in between there. But yeah, like you said, I think if he keeps up, obviously if he keeps up at that pace, then he's going to be in the combo. But yeah, I would agree with you. I'm not putting either of them over Patrick Mahomes. I don't believe. But if the voters get a little biased towards the quarterback, I could see it, floating towards the wide receivers in that sense.
Yeah, I guess he did. I didn't realize. Not it's a bad game, but he 6 for 48 against the Eagles, 3 for 14 against the Lions. He's been stellar. Don't get me wrong. He didn't find the end zone. So he didn't score from week 2 to week 8 through week 8. So week 9 was his first touchdown since week 1. But the yards, man, they're there. You're right. Like 147, 154, 107, 115, 193, 98. So, he is having a really good year, but if you have 4 total touchdowns,
it's hard to argue that,
I can't
right?
really do it. But the fact that he's at 69 receptions and over 1,000 yards already it's
kind of crazy. He does, man. When you watch him play, he gets big gainers, man. Yeah. Like, these aren't just intermediate routes. Like, these are over 20. He's a baller. But looking at the last 5 of my top 10 here,
we both have Ravens at 6
through 10. Yeah, and the Ravens, they're obviously
they're such a weird team for me to grasp, man.
They're coming off the bye though, so we can't hurt them in this sense. They were 6 last week. They stayed there. They host Carolina this week, so it's not going to be much of a measuring stick there. Then number 7, I have the Giants. They actually moved up from number 9 for me, but it was more or less product of other teams losing in a sense. So up below them, you obviously have the Cowboys. They fell from number 5. I'm looking at the Cowboys, man. That they blew a 14-point lead to a team that had lost 5 straight. I get it's Aaron Rodgers. I get it's the Packers, but that team had lost 5 straight. you want to diss the Eagles for a loss to the Commanders. The Commanders beat the Green Bay Packers about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So miss me with
Yeah.
that, right? The Commanders are a better team than
Right. And the
the
Eagles
Packers
already
right
beat the
now.
Cowboys and
Exactly. So I'm looking at the Cowboys. That was a very fluketitious loss.
yeah.
They actually showed a weakness, giving up over 200 rushing yards in the last 2 games. So that's why they dropped from 5 to 8 for me. The San Francisco 49ers actually dropped from 8 to 9 for me, believe it or
Dropped, huh?
not. And maybe I'm being a little harsh on them with the roster that they have. I'll admittedly put that out there. I just didn't like how they went away from Christian McCaffrey. I don't
Yeah.
like how they're
Nah, I
not
agree with you.
using their stars. You have
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel, you have
Non-existent.
CMC. Use those guys. And I want to see it. I want to see them stick to their identity, get those guys involved, and ultimately look like the team that we're asking to see here. The reason that they're in the top 10, right? Couldn't remove them, didn't want to do anything like that. They obviously beat the Chargers nonetheless, but they did drop down 1 for me. And then the Titans are the new team in. I'm looking at the Titans, man, 6-3 right now. They find ways to win, right? Even without Ryan Tannehill, they still were able to find ways to win since the start of the season, where they started out really slow. And they got it. They got an identity. They run the football, and they have a really good defense. They have a nice pass rush. So I'm liking what the Tennessee Titans are doing there. If I could give you honorable mentions, New York Jets, Seattle Seahawks, and the Cincinnati Bengals, just like you have at number 10 there. I'm with you. All arguably reasonable to be in that 10th spot with Titans.
It's a misprint, Phil. I didn't catch it when Casey sent it to me, but my top 5 is Eagles, Chiefs, Vikings, Dolphins, Bills. So you got to flip the Bills and the Vikings on mine. Don't you worry, brother. We'll not do that to Minnesota this week.
No,
but yeah, man, looking here, I mean, the Ravens are self-explanatory right there.
Yeah.
But I call them a weird team to grasp because they could be a little bit lower or they could be a little bit higher, but I'm not ready to crack them into that top 5. I just don't have them on that tier, but maybe they can be. I don't know. You get to the Niners again. I think San Fran is just kind of a projection thing for me as well as they won. So I agree with you. I do not know what Kyle Shanahan is doing, giving the ball to Elijah Mitchell, who just came back off the IR over Christian McCaffrey. I don't know where Deebo Samuel has been since getting paid. George Kittle does a whole lot of nothing really. He had like 2 catches, 1 catch for 21 yards, whatever it was. They do not get their big playmakers involved. It's very odd, but they still found a way to win. And I think I'm just kind of projecting them to be a top team by the end of the year. Cowboys and Giants, you can really flip-flop for me. I know the Cowboys lost last week and the Giants won this week, but you go back a week prior, the Cowboys won or whatever. They won their game before that, and the Giants lost to Seattle. So those two, you can kind of
who are you actually more concerned about when you play them, right? It would probably be for me, it would be the Cowboys, although I have the Giants above them just out of respect. But the Cowboys are the more intimidating team, in my opinion.
And then, like I said, Cincinnati stays at 10 for me. They were 10 last week. They were on a bye, so I can't, slide them down or anything. But honorable mentions, I would throw your Tennessee Titans in there. The New York Jets could definitely crack the top 10 soon. I guess it's going to be, give it one more week, and I guess when is it time to put Tampa Bay back in there? If they win 3 straight and lead the AFC South, we'll see how they continue. But those are the updated power rankings, man.
I just wanted to ask you something because it really sparked in my head with San Fran, and I'm just thinking about like all together rosters, the most talented rosters in the NFL, and kind of why San Fran gets punished on a week where they actually win a game, right? In my sense, and I look at San Fran, man. I think they have like the second most talented, if not the first most talented team in the NFL. When you look position by position as far as talent, I would put the Eagles number 1 personally. Then the 49ers number 2 and Bills number 3. All arguable as far as when they're fully healthy, the talent at each level. But I think that's why I'm just almost a little harsh on 49ers, but at the same time forgiving for having them in the top 10 in a sense. Because they're 5-4 right now. So the 49ers are very interesting. So talented.
Yeah, and Phil's stating exactly what I said to you the last couple of weeks on the show. If there is a true test to me to come out of the NFC for the Eagles, that roadblock, it is San Francisco. If they were to meet, I think they match up so well. They do a lot of the same things successfully that the Eagles are good at. That defense, when fully healthy, is possibly the best defense in the league. You add in all the talent offensively. It all comes down to Jimmy G, and it comes down to what Kyle Shanahan decides to do that specific week. So
and maybe it speaks more to San Fran's level of talent that they were able to win and they didn't involve CMC Debo like that much.
Exactly.
So that's the other side of it.
And they beat a Chargers team, who is extremely beat up at the moment, but still, hold Justin Herbert to like under 170 passing yards.
And they came out hot on that first drive. The Chargers did, so they were able to put a stop to all of that and get the W. Got to give them some credit, definitely.
Yes, sir. So you have a new segment you want to bring out this week, Scotty. So what do we got?
Yeah, so we got just a little bit of a division deep dive and kind of just taking a look at the status of all the divisions, what we got going on, kind of the outlook, as far as in the future, what we have to look forward to. So I wanted to start with the AFC, and we're going to start in the AFC East, which I think is probably the most interesting division right now. And the idea behind this segment is just thinking about who has the opportunity to finish and actually win each division. So you look at the AFC East right now. You have the Dolphins at number 1 at 7-3. You have the New York Jets at number 2 at 6-3. Both have beaten the Bills already. And then you have the Buffalo Bills at 6-3 at third. And then you have the New England Patriots at 4th and 5-4. None of these teams are out of the mix, right? No. Obviously, the Patriots still above 500. But when you look at these three teams at the top specifically, because I would imagine, me personally, and I believe you would be the same, obviously, Miami and Buffalo have the best chance of winning it. Buffalo Bills are 0-2 in their division, despite being 6-3, right? They've lost to the Jets and the Dolphins, as I mentioned. The Jets actually have the easiest path, in my opinion, throughout the rest of the regular season. Week 13 through 15 for the Buffalo Bills is going to be crucial. They actually play the New England Patriots in Week 13. Week 14, they play the Jets. Week 15, they play the Dolphins. So that's a juggernaut. Yeah. That's a gauntlet, but it's a gauntlet where if they win those three games, they can win the division, right? The Dolphins finish the season versus the 49ers, Chargers, Bills, Green Bay, New England, and then the New York Jets. So they kind of go through their own little gauntlet outside of the division. Based on where these teams are at, who would you pick to win this division right now, Dylan? Like, that's where I'm looking. And it's really hard to make that decision, quite honestly. I obviously side between the Bills and the Dolphins, but the Fins, they have a really tough schedule in front of them, and the Buffalo Bills have a tough one as well. And they're beat up.
This has to be the toughest one, right? You're literally looking at where you're going to have a division winner, and then potentially, I don't foresee it playing out this way, but right now, record-wise, the other three teams could fill those wild card spots.
Literally, yeah.
I'm going to go with Miami, though, man. I really do. I don't think it's fool's gold with Tua anymore. I think he's legit. I think this offense is legit. So I think that they end up winning the division, but I do ultimately think that the Bills will be the first wild card spot, and whoever that division winner is that gets to see them, good luck.
Do you think, if you had to pick right now, who would you pick in that next Dolphins-Bills matchup? That is in we're in week 11, 12, 13, 14. Week 15, they take on the Bills in Buffalo. Hard to say right now. I know it's totally unfair.
I'll say that Buffalo wins if fully healthy, but I do ultimately think that the Dolphins could be up by 2 or 2.5 games at that point.
Yep. And I feel that because you look at Buffalo Bills right now. They play the Browns this week. Should be able to take care of business. You play the Lions the following week. Once again, should be able to take care of business. Although that is a short week against the Lions in Detroit on Thanksgiving. But then you have the Patriots the following Thursday. And then you go Jets, Dolphins, Bears, Bengals, and then Patriots to end the season. So it's interesting. I'm leaning with you, man. I almost feel like it's the Dolphins to lose, right? Like,
me too.
They're just playing so well right now. They got the Texans, then the 49ers. So they play in San Fran, in LA against the Chargers, in Buffalo against the Bills. So 3 tough road games. That will be the key to their season, I would say right there, those 3 road games. As far as winning the division, if you could just win 2 of those 3, I think they will win the division. Because after that, you got the Packers, Patriots, and Jets, which I think they should be able to take care of business against those teams, barring health. But yeah, I like the Dolphins pick there. Moving to the next division, we're looking at the AFC North. So Baltimore, this one's actually pretty tight between the top 2 teams. Let me ask you this first. Cleveland, even with Watson returning, you think they're done at 3-6?
Yeah, that's too
Yeah.
much to overcome in the AFC.
Yeah, I agree. And then you have Cincinnati at 5-4. They don't play the Ravens again, which they lost that first matchup. They don't play them until the final week of the season, so could very well be decided by that point. The Baltimore Ravens, obviously 6-3. They have the easiest path as well with the Bengals winning the division last year. So I'm leaning Baltimore in this division. I don't know how you're feeling there as far as Cincinnati and kind of them getting healthy and their outlook.
The schedule says that it should be Baltimore's division.
Yeah,
If Jamar Chase can get back within the next week or two,
makes it interesting.
I think I'm going to go with Cincinnati. I really do, dude. I think that Cincinnati is not even peaked offensively at what they can do.
Fair
They
enough.
they've been injured with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase this season. There's just something about them where I think they're going to hit a stride in the last 4 or 5 weeks and run the table kind of thing.
I like it, honestly, because the Bengals, just something about them, man. I picked the Ravens to win this division at the beginning of the season. I'm leaning Baltimore just because of the schedule, but I could definitely see the Bengals getting back into it. But you look at their schedule; they got the Steelers up next, the Titans next week, and Dylan will be back right in a second. No worries there. They got the Titans next week. Then they got the Chiefs. That's going to be tough, but they beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. If you need to make the playoffs, you can do it. But you look at the Bengals, Steelers, Titans, Chiefs, Browns, Bucks, Patriots, Bills, Ravens. So it's a tough stretch. But you saw the stretch that the Bengals went through to make the Super Bowl last year. I'm not putting anything past them. I would lean ultimately Baltimore in this division. And then looking at the next division, kind of keep it moving here, even with Dylan, who should be back shortly. This division doesn't have much contest in it. We're looking at the AFC South. So the only two teams that are in contention there, you have the Tennessee Titans, who are 6-3 currently, and then you have the Indianapolis Colts, obviously just fired their head coach, brought in Jeff Saturday, were able to get a dub against Las Vegas on the road. They're 4-5-1 currently, obviously with that tie against Houston to start the season. Any chance for the Indianapolis Colts to make it? I don't know. I really don't think so. The main point there with the Colts, obviously they're playing better football, it seems, just based off last week, right? We'll see what they look like against the Birds this weekend. But nonetheless, the Titans have already beat the Colts 2 times. They're 2-0 against the Colts early on in this season. So you have to ask yourself, how did the Colts, get back into the mix there without having a chance at beating the Titans head to head? They would ultimately have to have a better record than the Titans, which is not out of the realm of possibility with that tie in place. Yeah, I'm with you, D-Rab. The Colts are losing this week for sure. So you'll see them drop to 4-6-1, which will ultimately, in my opinion, kind of sit them out of this race. Let's take a look at the rest of the Colts schedule past the Eagles. So they got the Eagles, Steelers, should be a W, should be. It's in Indy, so should be a W. After that, they got the Cowboys. That's an L. They got the Vikings after that. That's an L, in my opinion. Chargers after that should be an L if the Chargers are who we think. And then they got the Giants after that, which also should be a loss for the Colts. So the schedule isn't easing up on the Colts at all. I'm glad I actually took a look at this because I can easily say that the Titans are going to win this division at 6-3 currently. Moving on from the AFC South, we have the AFC West. And it's funny, the AFC West is one of the divisions that really has no contest, outside of the top 2 teams. And they actually got a big showdown this weekend coming up, right? You have the Kansas City Chiefs obviously leading the way. They're number 1 in my power rankings at 7-2. And then following them, we have the LA Chargers, who just previously lost to the 49ers. Yeah, stick a fork in the Colts. I'm with you, D-Rab. Looking at the AFC West, though, you have the LA Chargers that just took the loss to the 49ers this past weekend. They're sitting at 5-4. So you look at the rest of the division, Denver 3-6, they're done. I mean, they're cooked. Russell Wilson has not shown me anything that makes me think they're going to be able to turn this offense around, and definitely not enough to catch up to the goddamn Kansas City Chiefs. And then the Las Vegas Raiders are even in a worse spot than the Denver Broncos, who have been supremely disappointing. The Las Vegas Raiders have somehow managed to be even more disappointing than the Broncos at 2-7. They're done. They're cooked. So really, the only team with a chance in this division at winning, aside from the Chiefs right now, is the Los Angeles Chargers. And luckily, they play at home against the Chiefs this weekend, which, as we know, is never really a home game for the LA Chargers. So it doesn't mean much. But nonetheless, this is a bit of a must win for the LA Chargers. When you think about not only making the playoffs, but winning this division. Welcome back.
I don't know what's wrong. Are my cheeks really rosy?
Yeah, they are, man.
Dude, I don't know what just happened. I'm
Sick?
sweating. I don't know if I like.
Might have the flu, man. Gotta watch it. Hey, seriously, man, you gotta watch it. It's really bad right now. Talking about the AFC West, the biggest disappointment in football currently. Chargers Chiefs play this weekend in LA. What are your thoughts there? Is there any chance Chargers can pull out a win this weekend? Maybe Keenan Allen returns. I don't know what could save the Chargers.
I think they need more than just Keenan Allen coming back to kind of fix that team.
Yeah.
2 beat up on the offensive line, 2 beat up on the defensive side. Herbert hasn't looked himself. Like, I don't know. Like, Herbert hasn't shown that he can take less than and make it more than. Herbert hasn't shown that he can take a DeAndre Carter and Gerald Everett and kind of and kind of just move things along with them. Nah, appreciate you.
Oh yeah, shout out to D-Man, showing some love, man. You guys will get to meet on Eagles game day against Packers, so that'll be fun. We'll definitely bring the water in and the grill. We'll have everything cooking up there in the parking lots. But yeah, I'm with you though. The AFC West, I think the Chargers are cooked, and I think they lose this weekend as well in LA against the Chiefs. So that'll kind of put the nail in the coffin division wise. Hopefully the Chargers can at least make the playoffs, man.
Here's the thing. I don't know who. It's tough, Scotty, right? You got to figure there's 2 teams coming out of the East, at least.
Yeah.
I'm going to predict that the top 2 in the North come out. So that's already 2 wild card spots gone. If the Chargers stay at this, they're already behind a spot. And then I don't know if they have enough to overcome what's ahead of them.
Yeah. Right now, would you believe it? Right now, the AFC top 7 seeds include all 4 of the AFC East teams.
And now I don't predict that to be the case at the end. I don't think New England will still be there.
Right.
But the other 2 could. And then I say that Baltimore or Cincinnati, whoever doesn't win the North, gets the other wild card.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. It's going to be a rough road for the Chargers, man. And I don't trust them at all. I literally don't trust them even against teams they're
too inexperienced. I don't trust the head coach a lot at all either, dude. I really don't.
He's lost my trust very quickly.
If you're down bad without Mike Williams and without Keenan Allen and Rashawn Slater and other pieces, why would you not do everything in your power to get the ball into Austin Eckler's hands? And it's like he tries to do the complete opposite. Now I know he's a pass catching back as well, but 6 carries for Austin Eckler in a 1 possession game. You weren't down by 21 at halftime. Like, you were in the game the entire time, and you just, I don't know. It doesn't make much sense.
I think it's like these young coaches get like impatient. You know what I mean? It's like you just don't have the patience to run the football. It's really odd, honestly.
No, I agree.
It's odd that the league has turned to this point where it's about who runs the football and controls time of possession. Like, we have moved, honestly, away from the air it out attacks. The best teams in football right now are running the football well as well. So having that balanced attack means so much. We'll kind of speed it up here with the division. So we'll move over to the NFC. We have the NFC East, right? We're very familiar with this one. So obviously the Eagles 8-1, Giants 7-2. Dallas 6-3, Washington 5-5. So everybody above 500, nonetheless.
Crazy.
Is there any chance that Washington could get ahead of, say, Dallas or New York? Do you think?
No. Definitely not New York, but when just
Yeah,
record wise, like again, I agree with you that I view Dallas in a greater light than I do the Giants.
yeah,
But with the Giants already having 2.5 games on Washington, I don't like them to overcome that much ground.
yeah,
But weirder things have happened, man. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that the Taylor Heineke experiment kind of runs out of power, runs out of juice soon. Because like, here's the thing that's starting
hopefully.
to annoy me about the Taylor Heineke talk. And now, obviously, they should stick with Taylor Heineke. If you beat the
Yeah,
Eagles on the road and give them their first loss, you would be crazy to go back to Carson Wentz this
yeah,
week. But the funny part to me is like everyone's acting like this is something new. Like we haven't seen this movie before. No, Taylor
yeah,
Heineke has been the Washington Commanders quarterback for the last 2 seasons.
yeah.
And we know how, like, what has been the one thing about the Commanders, Scotty? Oh, well, we think they have the defense and they have
Right,
the coaching and they
right.
have McLaurin. They just need a quarterback to get him over the hump because Taylor Heineke is not it. Well, now here we are again. They were losing with Wentz. Heineke wins a couple games. You got to stick with what? Where are they going? Where are they going
Right,
with Taylor Heineke?
right,
The same
right.
place.
I'm with you.
So, yes, are they playing better football? Yeah, they are. But to me, it means nothing in terms of
Need
winning
to
anything meaningful.
slow it down a little bit. And the best thing about this division is that each and every team controls their own destiny because we do
Yep.
play the Cowboys later this season.
Giants
We
twice.
play the Giants twice. So Giants, Cowboys, they will very well have their opportunity to overthrow or dethrone the Eagles if they feel that they can. And we'll get to see that play out in real time, which I'm also excited to kind of shut that noise down. So
Yeah, me too.
I'm with you. Eagles win in the division. They're one game ahead of the Giants currently. I would imagine that over the next few weeks we see the Giants drop one, and we should create some separation there.
I agree.
But we'll move on to the NFC North. Any contest here? We got the Packers
No.
trying to revolt.
Next.
Nah, Vikings 8-1, Packers
Next.
4-6. Not gonna happen. The Packers would literally have to win out, and still that would not be enough. So
Yeah.
that's where we're
Yeah,
at
no,
with that
it's over.
with that team, nonetheless. NFC South, we got the Tampa
Oh,
Bay
boy.
Buccaneers 5-5, Atlanta Falcons 4-6.
Yeah.
I guess my question to you, I think we probably both would lean Tampa Bay here. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons looked cooked on that. Was it Thursday Night Football against the Panthers? That was
Yep.
disgusting. Do you think Tampa Bay could potentially beat out the NFC West division winner for the 3 seed? Is there a chance there?
Yeah. You would have to, right? As it sits right now, they are a game behind Seattle, and I don't think that Seattle ultimately wins that division, right? So I'm going to predict that Seattle goes on a bit of a drop off. And then I'll
Yep.
turn my attention to San Fran. They're a half a game behind San Fran at the moment. I haven't looked at schedules, but I would assume that San Fran might have a little bit more difficult of a road within their division as well. So I think it's definitely possible to think that if Brady can start to get things right, they can win an extra game or two to beat out the 49ers for the 3 seed. Am I predicting it? No, but it can definitely happen. And that didn't seem possible 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and it's like if the Bucks are able to put together another win, why not, right? Once they get to the same amount of wins, why can't they do it? I don't know. The 49ers schedule nor the Seahawks, neither of their schedules are too bad. Like there's not a ton of competition on those aside from their own division. I would say the key, honestly, would be, when that Seattle and San Fran matchup comes head to head, can Seattle steal a game against San Fran? San Fran already beat them this season 27-7 early on.
Yeah.
So week 14, they play against San Fran in Seattle. They host San Fran. So can they steal that one? Any hope for the Arizona Cardinals 4-6? Or like trying to get healthy. They did get D-Hop. They get Marquise Hollywood Brown back. James Conner's healthy.
No.
They got a chance to steal one against San Fran this week on Monday Night Football, but I just don't see it, man.
Yeah, no, I don't see it at all. I don't know why I kind of view Kyler in a little bit similar of a light as I spoke on Justin Herbert. Not for, but I don't think Kyler can come from behind. I don't think Kyler has what it takes to lead this Cardinals team, 3-4 games in a row and get them back into first place of this division. Just like I don't think that Herbert can overcome short talent on the outside. and kind of lead them back into the playoff picture. The thing that I'm more disappointed is the Rams, dude. And I know Stafford didn't play the last week. I got it. My goodness, 3-6, Scotty. They might finish last in their division.
Yeah,
and myself and many other people predicted them to get back to the Super Bowl. You have all the talent in the world, all of the talent in the world. And now Stafford's banged up. Cooper Kupp hits the IR. The Rams will finish below 500. All right. Let's do that.
How do we get that off? Tried to block it and I accidentally clicked on it and then I guess you blocked it, bro. That was wild. I was like, how the hell do we get this
for
thing
the rest
off?
of the stream?
Right. Send sexy photo. No. Oh man, but that's all I got for you for the divisions. So across the board,
quick little check-in.
Yeah, it was a good check-in, right? Just to see where we're at and see what teams have to look forward to, see who actually has a chance at the playoffs. So it's always good to hone in and talk about that. But do you want to get to the actual matchup for tonight? We can spend a little bit of time on that before we get out of here.
Thursday Night Football, we have the Green Bay Packers at home at Lambeau against the Tennessee Titans. The Titans, surprisingly, you talked about them a little bit ago, dude. 6-3. Like, it does not feel like this is a 6-3 football team. This feels like this is a team hanging on by a thread, and here they are continuing to win ball games. And I think it was Dan Orlovsky that said it earlier on ESPN. It was so true. Tennessee is one of the teams in this league that you are going to have to earn a win against week in and week out.
Yeah.
They're not overly talented. They're not going to outclass any team they're against, but they're going to outwork. They're going to out hustle. They're going to out grind, out physical. A lot of their teams, they run the ball, and they play really good defense. And they're a physical ass team. You saw them, dude. No back down in Kansas City against the Chiefs in prime time. No back down against that juggernaut, right? And took them to overtime. Gave them everything they had. So I'm looking at this game tonight.
That was with Malik Willis as well, rookie quarterback.
Yes, exactly. Not even the veteran, in Ryan Tannehill, who I'm not a fan of, but at this point you would have to imagine has a little bit more to give than Malik Willis does. They literally did not throw the ball with Malik Willis. I think he threw like 4 passes. And reversely, you're looking at Green Bay. They finally get that win that we've talked all week about against the Cowboys. This is kind of a do or die moment tonight, man. Like, their season's on the line. You lose tonight and you get the 4-7, you can kind of pack it in and just forget the rest of the season. You win tonight and you get to 5-6, you have a legitimate chance to get back into wild card contention with how the rest of your division and how the rest of the NFC South looks.
Yeah.
This is a big game. This is the biggest game for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers tonight.
It's a must win, right? Like it's a must win in the most simplest form that you could think of. And like you said, if they lose this tonight, they're pretty much done. They're done in the division already, right? They're not going to win their division, but they're trying to get a wild card right now. And you need this win, right? And you go into next week, they play the Eagles, so it's not like it gets easier. Let me ask you this about the Packers. If they get a W tonight, just from the Eagles' standpoint, does it worry you more with them going into that game next week after post-Thanksgiving Sunday? Sunday Night Football, they get this big win on Thursday Night Football against the Titans, got the big win against the Cowboys. They're building up, some momentum there. Do you think this is a win that could get them over that hump of, trying to get back in that race?
For sure, because I think if you get back to 5-6, and like I said, we just went through the 2 divisions. You're not winning your own division, so forget trying to catch Minnesota.
Right.
But the rest of your division in Detroit and Chicago is 2-3 games behind you. You go to the South, okay, you'll take their division winner, and then you have the Falcons, Panthers, and Saints, who are all below your record at that point, right? So you're looking at beating out the Washington Commanders at that point for making sure that all 4 teams in the NFC East don't make the playoffs.
Right,
would be their task.
Right,
and I think that's definitely a possibility.
Washington has the head-to-head over them too.
Yeah,
so that's another key, man. So I'm with you. And mind you, if we want to get into game predictions tonight, all of that will not matter because I do think the Titans win this game, quite honestly. I get it. It's in Green Bay. They're 3-point favorites, I believe, was the last time I looked. I think that's a little dishonest, or a little concerning, I would say, from the
Yeah,
Titans
that line,
standpoint.
I
Feel
think
the
that
Titans
line
should be
is
favored
super
in this.
reactionary to the Cowboys
Yeah,
game last week.
absolutely, absolutely. Let's not forget the Packers were down 14
Yes.
points in this game, where everybody's saying that they found this identity. Yes, Aaron Rodgers came up clutch. Christian Watson, he
Watson.
came up clutch. Um, but this is a Tennessee Titans team that is a little more thorough, I would say, than the Cowboys. I'm not saying they're a better team than the Cowboys per se. They're just a little more thorough. They understand their identity a lot more, and they're going to stick to
And
the
they're
run
playing good
tonight.
football at the moment.
And the Packers have the 26th ranked rush defense in the NFL. So what better night for Derrick Henry to feast than against the Green Bay Packers? And they think they're going to come in and run the football against the Tennessee
Yeah, it's not
Titans
going to
and
work
beat
that way.
them at their identity.
Not going to
I
work that
just
way.
don't see it, man.
So exactly, and it comes back to the same question we've been asking Green Bay all year long. It's which of the young wide receivers steps up, and they're without Romeo, Doubs or
Yeah.
what? I can never
Doubs,
Doub.
Doobs,
I don't know.
whatever you want to call him.
Without him, 48-year-old Randall Cobb was activated for tonight. Congratulations. Means nothing to me. It's basically a Christian Watson, are you for real kind of thing. And
Yeah.
Alan Lazard, where are you at as well?
Alan Lazard is
you
so hit or
mentioned
miss.
you are not going to rush for 150 to 200 plus yards like you did against the Cowboys against this Titans defense tonight. It's not going to happen. So which of the wide receivers can step up and help out Aaron Rodgers tonight? And reversely, how much does Derrick Henry kill Green Bay's defense tonight and keep their offense, which it's not the same. Like before, a key to beating the Packers was keeping A-Rod on the bench. It's different, but you're still benefited if he's on the bench, if he's on the sideline.
Yeah.
So keeping them on the off the field is big. Scotty, I'm with you. I think that Titans win this game. It was 3.5 point line. I definitely like them to cover at least, but I think they do win outright.
Same.
What are we rolling with in terms of play of the night? As you guys know, on Sixers pregame live and all of our DSM pregame lives, we give away a play of the game, and that is going to be a thing continuing throughout the rest of Thursday night football here. So, what is our play of the day?
So, what we rolled with earlier, we were texting, obviously, trying to figure it out. 2+ Aaron Rodgers touchdowns, right? Passing touchdowns, that is. He's thrown 2. You had the numbers on that. So 2 in the last.
Now, some way, as abysmal as this offense has been and the passing offense seems, Aaron Rodgers leads the league in touchdown passes. He has thrown.
I did not know that.
He has thrown 2+ in 7 of the 10 games so far this season. He threw 3 last week against Dallas. So over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Rodgers tonight. That was at -110. So to kind of just sprinkle it to get the odds a little bit more favorable for you, a little bit more juice, you make it a same game parlay, do the 2+ passing touchdowns, and you add in Derrick Henry 60+ rushing yards. That takes it over +100, takes it to +105 tonight. So Derrick Henry 60+ rushing yards, Aaron Rodgers 2+ passing touchdowns is the play.
Now I did a little bit of I just added a little bit onto it.
Yeah.
I did that alone, and then I added a little bit onto it just because it would be a free same game parlay.
Okay.
Bet insurance, I guess is what they call it. Up to $10. So I just added in 9.5 receiving yards for Aaron Jones, and that brings it up to +135. So I sent it with Aaron Rodgers 1.5+ over 60 rushing yards for Derrick Henry, and then 9.5 receiving yards, for Aaron Jones. So that was a risk-free, right? So that's what I sent it for on there. And then,
God,
did you have another play? I didn't.
Well,
know.
yeah, I just had a free bet given to me earlier today by the friends over at PointsBet.
I got you.
So let's see. This one's +225. I'm just trying to win a little bit tonight. Let me know what you think. I got Christian Watson going for 25+ receiving yards, and I have Alan Lazard going for 25+ receiving yards. I have Derrick Henry going for 75+ rushing yards, and then I have a Derrick Henry anytime touchdown +225.
I like it, man. I like that. That was a free bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I also sent it for a Derrick Henry touchdown just by itself. There's a boost on DraftKings for +100. So I laid some money on that. I used my risk-free $10 parlay on FanDuel. They're giving them out as well. So I put $10. This was kind of a moonshot, +1,144. Aaron Jones, anytime touchdown. Traylon Burks, totally wild card in this one. But he actually had a great snap count share coming back last week off the injury. And I feel that he's like by far the most talented wide receiver in their wide receiving core. So maybe, just maybe, he can get in the end zone tonight. And then I have Traylon Burks 25 plus. That comes out to plus 1144.
Wow.
So $10 wager pays out
if
one
Traylon Burks can just find the end zone.
Yeah, I think Aaron Jones will find the end zone. It is Traylon Burks that makes those odds skyrocket. But 25 plus yards, a touchdown, and then an Aaron Jones anytime touchdown pays out 124.49.
Wow.
Risk free. So
I like it a lot, man. You got to find the plays within the play, right? So
exactly, exactly, man. That's what it's all about. But yeah, I'm with you tonight, Titans, and hopefully Aaron Rodgers can get the job done for us because I think everything else will hit.
I like it, man. With all that being said, that is going to wrap up this Thursday night edition of NFL Turf Talk here on DSM Media. Guys, if you don't already, head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button. You can check out the link tree in our bio. It'll take you to every platform we are on: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. We're on everything. But if you guys want to be interactive on all of our great shows here on DSM Media, head on over to the YouTube channel specifically. That's where you can catch each of our DSM pregame live shows as they're exclusively on the YouTube channel. You can be entered for a chance to win our giveaway that we are running currently. So hit that subscribe button, comment on the video, and have a great rest of your night.